We can listen like for the beginning too. There we go.
Are we on? I don't know. Quite possibly.
There we go. Let's see if we can hear.
Might need to use
Are
that
we on?
thing.
Oh, the headphones are on. That's actually good because otherwise, oh no, no.
Nope.
Don't want to drop that.
This is a test of the emergency broadcast system. This is a
Hey.
test of the emergency. So we do have a slight delay.
Yeah, there's gonna be delay.
Okay.
Don't wanna
But
close
we
it
don't.
on the-
Yeah, but we don't need to listen to ourselves.
Yeah, it'll
or hear
cause
that.
like a
All right.
sound like hell.
Boop. Which is the
Ooh.
camera? The camera is right there.
Right there.
Okay.
Yeah.
There we are. And so we're ready on.
We are on.
Boom. Okay, here we go. Hello, my name's Richard,
I'm Kevin.
and this is the class of 72, and this program is, we're just going to talk about a little what the class of 72 program is about and what I focus on. The class of 72 is a show about the songs that hit Billboard's Hot 100 for the year 1972, the top 100, but also talks about all the music of 1972. But for the most part, the singles that were on the charts that year. And I call it the class of 72 because it's now a lot of the music they say is classic rock, or during that time period. So I incorporate that word class into it. Plus, back then, you had to have a little class with your musical style. You had to have something. You had to bring something to the table. You had to have real talent, real musicianship, real songwriting, real singing, real everything. And class is also like short for classroom. I like to teach people about what I know about the songs and music from 72, but I'd also like learning and knowing more information about the music from that same year as well. So it's like a classroom. You teach and get taught. So that's I guess the definition behind this title of this program. And made up this fanzine called the Class of 72. And it lists 684 songs, the ones that were on Billboard's Top 100 from that year, from January 1st to December 30th. And there were 409 different artists that made the Billboard Top 100 for that year. Of course, a lot of the artists had several singles that year. Like Elton John could have 4 or 5 singles that year. But, of course, you don't count them 4 or 5 times. So some of the artists that were in 1972 are, and we'll just go through them real quick. Not every single one, but just some random ones. Climax, a band that was very famous with their song Precious and Few. That was a debut in January 1st, 1972. T-Rex released Bang a Gong, Get It On January 1st, 1972 is when it debuted on Billboard's 100 at number 87. And that song, T-Rex, Bang a Gong, Get It On, would become very popular in the 80s with a band called the Power Station that had members of Duran Duran and Robert Palmer. I don't know if you know who that is.
I kind of know Palmer.
Robert Palmer also was in a band in 1972 called Vinegar Joe. And he also did started releasing solo material in the 70s. And he had great songs, one in particular called Every Kind of People. And a few others that just can't come to mind right now. But Robert Palmer and members of Duran Duran, and of course Duran Duran were hugely successful in the 80s and probably still tour to this day. And
Are they still around?
I believe so. I've seen some things on social media where they've done some dates. So yeah, some other people in this year. Jerry Reed, country artist, Oh yeah, like another thing about 1972 is that back in those days you can have all the songs on one station play, like all the genres: pop, rock, country, soul, funk, instrumental, comedy, jazz, spoken word. You could find that all on one AM station in 1972, because in 1973 FM started hitting the airwaves hard, and that broke the genres up. Then you would have like a country station or a rock station or an easy listening station. But in 1972, the majority of all things were played on a single station on AM. So that's why you could hear Sonny and Cher next to Neil Diamond, next to Bob Dylan, next to Michael Jackson. Anything and everything was on an AM radio. So
I love Bob Dylan, but I don't think I've ever listened to George Jackson by Bob Dylan.
George Jackson, oddly enough, it's kind of weird that the FCC?
Yeah.
They let it go because he says the word shit.
Oh,
in
really?
In the song George Jackson. Yeah, and it's not censored, it's not bleeped, it's not anything. And I was thinking, wow, how did they get away with it? That one back in 1972. But
just being Bob Dylan.
I guess so.
Yeah.
You got pull.
Yeah.
Some other ones from 72 are, let's see, the Supremes. They had a song called Floyd Joy, that was without Diana Ross. It was the other Supremes.
Oh.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't even know she was in one of the Supremes. I know very little about the Supremes.
Yeah, Diana Ross was a member of the Supremes. She was one of the singers. See, on January 15th, the Carpenters debuted with their song Hurting Each Other at number 76. And they were a brother-sister duo. And I love them. They are the quintessential sound of the 70s. Real pop, angelic, euphoric, heavenly, total AM radio pop music.
Mm-hmm.
Aretha Franklin, she made the charts early on in the year, January. A band called Traffic, which you might know. And the Osmonds. Let's see, Delaney and Bonnie had a song called Move 'Em Out, debut at number 80 on January 22nd. And Delaney and Bonnie, they were friends with like Eric Clapton and George Harrison and Bobby Whitlock. Who else was it? Leon Russell.
Whatever happened with them, Delaney and Bonnie? Were they?
I know that they had gotten a divorce in the mid 70s or early 70s, and I don't think anything ever happened with them afterwards. Just fell into obscurity, I suppose. Billy Preston, he was one of the few people to share the name with the Beatles on a record label, other than Tony Sheridan. Billy Preston was from Houston, Texas, so he's a Texan. We're here in Texas, so I like to focus on Texas stuff. Joe Tex, he's a Texan as well.
Oh, that makes sense.
Yep.
What about Melanie? Like the Nickel song?
The Nickel song is, if I'm not mistaken, was released maybe in the late 60s, and I believe they re-released it early on because she had a big hit with Brand New Key.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, Melanie, if you want to get technical about it, had the number one song on January 1st, 1972 with her song Brand New Key.
Whoa, it beat out American Pie.
It did. That's right. American Pie.
I can see that.
Sure enough. Actually, I was in Arizona on a tour once and met somebody at a tapas bar. Tapas, not topless. Tapas bar. And his mother-in-law was Melanie.
Really?
We were talking about 1972, and he goes, I think my mother-in-law had a song in 1972. I was like, what's her name? He's like, Melanie? And I was like, wow. It's like, yeah, she did. She had the very first song.
You'd think you'd remember that, but maybe not if you're like that close to somebody.
Right.
Yeah.
It's like, it's my mother-in-law. The JBs, who were James Brown's backing band
Mm.
had a song called "Gimme Some More." Gail McCormick did a cover of a Smokey Robinson song called "You Really Got a Hold on Me." And Gail McCormick, she used to sing with a band called Smith. And their big hit was "Baby It's You" back in 1969 or 70. And that song was written by Burt Bacharach and Hal David, who had a few hits in 72, of course, performed by others. Another one of 72, War, Slipping into Darkness. It's a band from L.A. They give a real, like, soul, Latin vibe. They have a harmonica player and lots of bongos, and they're really... Their big hit was Lowrider.
Oh, okay. I've heard of War. I don't know much about them. I feel like a lot of those like band names that I don't know went with that type of music, like War. I can't think of another one, but like they're either like soul or like something like you said, like Latin.
Yeah.
Like kind of more chill, or like later on, you could use the same name for like a metal band.
True.
From like the 80s.
Yeah.
It's kind of funny. It's like it either goes one way or the other. I guess early 70s are mostly gonna get.
Yeah. You get they get straight to the point.
Yeah.
Like a song like this band, Bread, Everything I Own. With the name like Bread, yeah, they were a bunch of white kids.
Yeah.
And they were from Oklahoma. So
Okay.
that's Midwest, I guess. Well,
yeah.
Is Oklahoma technically in the Midwest? I mean, it's just above Texas.
It's like
We're south.
Yeah.
So, but we're so big.
It's kind of like Midwest and South and just West. I don't know. It's kind of like on that line.
Right.
Of like everything to the east of Oklahoma would probably be South or Midwest, but everything to the west would just be the West.
Right. This country.
It's the plains.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This country's weird. We're too big.
Yeah.
We can't even spread ourselves out correctly. Let's see. Okay, so here's a great example of like diversity in 72.
Move the camera.
In January 29th, which was like at the end of the first month of 72, Carole King, Black Sabbath, and Elvis were all on the same chart, one right after another. So right there you get like heavy metal music, the beginnings of heavy metal. You get stuff like Elvis, which is the beginnings of rock, and Carole King, of course, which is like contemporary and pop. So it's all right there wrapped up into one. And do we got everything going on?
Yeah, I'm just moving the camera because we just had like just making it bigger because we're not really putting anything on the screen.
Right. Cool. Hey, there we
It's
are.
about middle, right? There we go. Then we can
Good
bring
enough.
this down here so we can just read the chat if anyone says anything. There we go. That was kind of like in my head for a while.
Learning.
There we go. That should be good.
Cool. Right on. All right. So, more artists from 72. Cher. You know who she is,
Oh,
right?
I know Cher.
Yeah, she was married to Sonny Bono.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
What
Sonny and
happened
Cher.
to Sonny? Because Cher, like...
Sonny Bono, I believe, was killed in a skiing accident.
Oh, I guess that's what happened to Sonny.
Yeah. It was very unfortunate.
How'd he die? Just hit a tree or something?
I think so.
That's usually...
Yeah, something like that. I'm almost positive it was something had to do with a skiing accident, but I could be mistaken. He was also the mayor of Palm Springs.
Was he?
I believe so. We need to do more research. We'll let you know more details on that. Yeah. Oh,
look
we
it
could
up.
we could look that stuff up.
Oh, yeah.
We have
Sonny
the technology. Sonny Bono.
Yep. Former mayor of Palm Springs. That's actually the first thing that comes up for him.
Wow. He's known for being the mayor of Palm Springs
Yeah.
over than being
I guess so. Everyone thinks of like Sonny and Cher.
Yeah,
They don't
he-
just think of him.
he was also Phil Spector's like in studio runner, I guess. He would help Phil
Oh, really?
Spector in the studio.
Phil Spector was a little crazy.
Yes. Well, a lot.
Apparently, Sonny was also in the U.S. House of Representatives.
What?
Yeah.
Man, Sonny had it going on.
How did he die? Yeah, skiing. Skiing in
Yeah.
California.
Yeah, that was right. Skiing
Oh,
accident.
it looked like he was probably on Vicodin and Valium at the same time. Too.
Oh, wow. So we are getting schooled
Yeah.
in this class. Of
Oh, wait.
72.
No drugs or alcohol were found in his body when he died, so never mind.
All right.
That was just Mary Bono who thought that.
Okay. Hey,
Okay.
clean bill of health for Sonny Bono. Right on. That makes me feel good about him now. See, where are we at? Lynn Anderson. She was a country western singer. She had a song called Cry. Frank Mills had a song called Love Me, Love Me, Love. Frank Mills would be very popular in the 80s with a song called Music Box Dancer. He had a #1 hit. So, you know how they say it takes 10 years to become an overnight success? Well, he started in 72, and then his song Music Box Dancer, I believe, was in 1982.
Oh, okay.
That went to #1. So, yeah, his 10-year success. Very good. See, Melanie, Ring the Living Bell. Yeah, exactly. Melanie's record label, which was Buddha Records.
Oh, I've seen those.
They went all the way out to release all her stuff on singles when she was hot on the charts. So why not? You know, hey, well, let's make as much money on there as possible.
When did she begin?
She
Like her
became
career?
like about 1970, 71.
Okay. Yeah.
Yep. So in 72, she was in full swing.
Okay.
J.J. Cale comes in at number 91 with a song called Crazy Mama. And some of you might know J.J. Cale as, well, someone said that Eric Clapton was a J.J. Cale cover band, and I would have to agree.
Really?
Yes. So J.J. Cale, he wrote songs like Cocaine. I think he wrote After Midnight.
Okay.
Yeah, he wrote all of Clapton's big hits.
Maybe it's a hot take, but I've never been a big fan of Clapton.
Neither have I.
Yeah.
No. I'm going to censor myself right here and now. But I want to move on. Michel Legrand, Brian's song. Oh, man, that's a great song. It's an instrumental. See, it's another thing about 72. You got an instrumental on the charts. You wouldn't find an instrumental on today's.
No.
That's sad.
Not really.
That's way sad. Brian's song, I believe, was a movie, and that was the soundtrack, title song. And it's a beautiful, beautiful song. Goose Creek Symphony, a country western band, does a cover of a famous Janis Joplin song from the 70s or 60s called "Oh Lord, Won't You Buy Me a Mercedes-Benz," which is a really great cover. It's a really good cover.
I was going to ask, so Janis Joplin wrote it, because I know her version.
I'm not too sure if she wrote it. She might have, but I know that she definitely did a version of it or recorded this song. Quite possibly with the holding company, Big Brother and Holding Company.
I don't know. Maybe.
Quite possibly.
Yeah.
Let's see, who else do we got? Dawn. And Dawn, D-A-W-N, they were Tony Orlando's backup band. They were two ladies.
Oh, okay.
And they used to, I think they had a show on TV called Tony Orlando and Dawn. And I liked them. My mom was a big fan of Tony Orlando. They did a cover of two songs smashed together, a melody from Runaway and Happy Together. Runaway was a song that Dion DiMucci did in the early 60s, and Happy Together is a song that the Turtles did in the late 60s.
Oh, I might have heard. Yeah, okay.
Neil Young had his hit Heart of Gold in 1972. That was from his Harvest LP. Paul Simon had a song called Mother and Child Reunion, which was very popular. Sly and the Family Stone, a band here from Dallas, Texas.
Whoa, I didn't know they were from Dallas.
Yep. And lots of hip-hop artists have sampled and have used his beats and sampled.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, man. Grin is a band that has, that was Nels Lofgren's band. He's now the guitarist for Bruce Springsteen and the E Street Band.
Oh,
He's
okay.
been in that band probably since the early 80s. Nils Lofgren. With his song called White Lies and his band called Grin, which if I had a top 20 of my favorite songs from 1972, White Lies by Grin would be in the top 20 for sure.
Is it like rock?
Yeah, it's a great rock number, but it's got it's pretty hard to describe, but it is a wonderful, wonderful song. It should have been a top 10 hit, if not a top 5 hit, as far as I'm concerned. Who else we got? Four Tops. They were a band on Motown, who some people might even say that the Four Tops are responsible for the whole Northern Soul scene.
Really?
Because of their song, maybe I Can't Help Myself, maybe. Can't remember the title. But yeah, the Four Tops were a soul band. They were 4 guys and had this incredible soul music. They were Motown artists, and they were just a great, great band that just inspired a lot of that like harmony vocals back then.
Oh yeah,
they were incredible. Livingston Taylor had a song called "Get Out of Bed." I don't know if you know who he is.
I don't actually.
He has a famous older brother or younger brother named James Taylor.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
That was signed to Apple Records.
Yeah.
And was quite friends with the Beatles. And going off the beaten path a little, I just found out recently something about James Taylor I never knew about. I saw an interview with him where he said that he had a friend over his place because he lived a block and a half away from the Dakota where John Lennon lived.
Oh, yeah, okay.
And when his friend was visiting, when she was leaving, they heard gunshots, but he just blew it off, and then later found out where those gunshots.
Wow.
So he heard Lennon's assassination. Not only was he a friend of his, but
he heard it.
He heard it.
Like right down the road.
Yeah. That's horrible.
That'd be crazy to realize, like later on.
Yeah. But I never knew that about James Taylor until probably this past year. I never heard that story. I guess I don't know if he even told anybody, but
probably kept it in for a little bit.
Yeah,
it's like a weird thing.
Mm-hmm.
Also, being signed to Apple Records, like how many bands got signed to Apple? Because
wow,
were there a lot?
There were a few. Lon and Derek Van Eaton had a song in 1972 released on the Apple label called, I believe it's Brother. Mm-hmm. And another 72 artist on the Apple label was the Sundown Playboys, who were a Zydeco band. And they had a song called Saturday Night Special.
A Zydeco band?
A Zydeco band was signed to Apple label called the Sundown Playboys. They only released one song. And Yoko Ono put out a song in 1972 called Now or Never on the Apple label. And, of course, the other songs on the Apple that the Beatles had was Paul McCartney had a single, Lennon had a single, and Ringo Starr had a single. George Harrison did not put out any singles or put out any albums in the year 1972.
Oh. Mm-hmm. When was his first one? Was it 70, like...
In 1970, he put out
70?
All Things Must Pass, which was a triple album. And then the next year, in 71, he pulled out The Concert for Bangladesh, which was another triple album. Yeah. So I think in 1972, he just used that as a break to write material for his 73 album called Living in the Material World. But in 1972, he did collaborate with an artist named David Bromberg, and they wrote a song together called The Hold Up, and they released that as a single in 1972 on Columbia Records. So technically he did write a song and have a single out in 72, but it was co-written and released by David Bromberg.
Just that one?
Just that one. Yeah, as far as I know.
Did it make it on the...
As far as I know, it did not chart.
No?
Nope. Just one of those songs that was just went into obscurity.
Wait, but
what else we got?
Brewer and Shipley.
Brewer and Shipley, they had a song called Shake Off the Demon. They were famously known for their song One Toke Over the Line.
That's like the only song I know by them, honestly.
They had another song in 72 called Yankee Lady.
Mm-hmm.
And then Shake Off the Demon. But Brewer and Shipley were a two-man band.
Okay.
And yeah, that's pretty cool.
What happened to them?
Don't know. Yeah.
Yeah.
We got up next James Brown.
James Brown.
Yeah, James Brown. So I have a small brush with James Brown. I never met him, but I did print the show posters for his last concert here in Austin, Texas, when he performed at Stubbs.
Oh, wow.
I was working at Bearded Lady Printing, and we used to print posters for the venue Stubbs on big shows. And so I was very proud. I got to do a James Brown poster.
That is crazy.
Yeah. Santana also had a single called No One to Depend On, who a band called Macho did a cover of it in 1972 on the Prophecy record label. And I don't think it made it the charts. But I actually like Macho's version
Really?
of No One to Depend On better than Santana's version. Yeah.
Is it like a similar like type of
Yeah,
music?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's real identical. In fact, when I played it for my friend the first time he heard it, he thought that it was Santana. And I
Oh,
said,
really?
no, it's actually a band called Macho.
Okay.
B.J. Thomas, rest in peace. He just passed away a few months ago. We actually exchanged a few messages on Twitter. He knew about the
Really?
class of 72, and I was very proud. I could not believe it. B.J. Thomas
That is
reached out to
cool.
me like 2 or 3 times on messages. I was like, wow, Raindrops Keep Falling on My Head was one of my
Mhm.
favorite songs as a kid.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's how I know him.
And they recorded the trumpets, the horn section, the ending of that song at Sugar Hill Studios in Houston, Texas.
Oh, they did?
When I walked into Sugar Hill Studios, they had the plaque. And
Oh, that's cool.
oh man, my jaw dropped when I saw that. I was like, "What? They did that here? Awesome!" Oh man, Rod Stewart, dude. I know you have a connection with Rod Stewart.
Yeah, no, I mean, it was like a while ago when we went to, we were in the UK. It was like a high school thing when I was graduating. We were walking down the road in like London, and a big, I think it was like limo, really nice car, like just pulled up next to this hotel. I can't even remember what it was. I remember someone getting out, and I just hear, that's Rod Stewart. And that's basically it. Rod Stewart was getting out, going into like his
Wow.
hotel or wherever he was where he was going. He had a bunch of security around him.
I totally would have been starstruck,
Yeah.
dude. As far as I'm concerned, Rod Stewart was the biggest rock star in 1972. I mean, dude, he had so many good hits. He was with the band Faces at the time. He also did some stuff with a band called Python Lee Jackson. And they had a hit with In a Broken Dream. That was just a great song. You Wear It Well was a hit in 1972. Maggie May,
Mhm.
another one. Stay With Me with Faces. Although that was recorded in 71, it was released on January 1st, 1972. So it makes the rounds in there.
Yeah, I mean, it didn't hit me too big because I didn't really know Rod Stewart. I wasn't listening to him at all, like at that time. So I was like, oh
Wow.
wow, I know that guy, but I can't name a song at that point.
You know, when I was, I guess, 6 or 7 years old, he had a song in 1976, 77 called Hot Legs. And, man, it's a real rockin' number. Hot Legs, I love you, honey. And he's just, screaming and yelling and stuff. And I remember being in the back seat of my Uncle Bill's car, and he had that song cranked up loud and was just rocking it. And, I'm like 6 or 7 years old, and he turns down the radio and asks me, hey, you like girls with hot legs? And I went, no. And he goes, no, what's wrong with you? And he just started cranking up Rod Stewart real loud, and it kind of was a little traumatizing.
Yeah,
Like,
it's
is he
like,
mad at me?
What?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. You don't really ask a 6 or 7 year old,
Yeah.
hey, you like women with hot legs? Never really thought about it.
Yeah.
Who we got up next?
You got Roundabout.
Yes.
Yes, we do.
That's the band, yes. In fact, see, here's another important fact about 72 that I think. Stephen Van Zandt said that rock and roll kind of died in 1971. And I'll have to agree with everything that Stephen Van Zandt says. As far as rock and roll goes, he's like the encyclopedia. He's like a Bible of knowledge. And like I said, everything that he says pretty much is on the money, and I have to agree with. And people like Jello Biafra would be the first to tell you that it was the music from like 1972 that inspired him to start like hardcore punk. He said because he hated stuff like Yes and Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young and all that other stuff, the Eagles, that was coming out. That wasn't rock to him. So it inspired what would later become punk rock. So to me, that's kind of like a good thing, you know.
It is.
You might not like it, but hey, something else came out of it. And I love stuff like the Dead Kennedys and that whole hardcore punk rock movement.
I can see how Yes is like kind of the opposite of punk.
Oh, yeah.
In a lot of ways.
Exactly. I mean, what were they?
Yes?
Exactly.
Yeah.
They had that symphonic thing going.
Yeah.
They were rock. They tried to be prog, progressive.
Yeah.
I remember Bill Bruford, the drummer, once said that, yes, play really technical music, but if you play real technical music and then listen to Yes, you probably think that we aren't very technical at all.
That makes sense.
Yes. Ta-da! See, Mamas and the Papas, they had a great song with Step Out. And I don't know if you know that Mama Cass and Keith Moon, the drummer for The Who, they both died in the same apartment that was owned by Harry Nilsson.
What's the story behind that? Like, how did they die? Because I actually don't.
I believe she had a heart attack, and Keith Moon died from, I believe, the combination of prescription drugs and alcohol.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it was an accidental death on Keith Moon's part.
Yeah.
And it was the night of the Paul McCartney Buddy Holly festival.
Really?
He was hanging out with Buddy Holly with Paul McCartney when Paul McCartney did his first Buddy Holly thing, and that night he went home with his girlfriend and I guess had a few more drinks.
Yeah.
And more pills, and that just killed him.
Wow.
Yeah.
What year was that?
76 maybe.
Okay.
76, 77, around that time. Yeah. Pretty crazy.
Yeah.
Let's see who else we have. David Cassidy. David Cassidy was a member of the Partridge Family.
Oh, he was?
Mm-hmm. And he wrote songs. He was a great singer-songwriter and had a career that lasted for quite a long time. His father was Jack Cassidy, and who was tragically killed in a fire. Yeah, Jack Cassidy, I believe, had some sort of dementia, and was smoking one night and fell asleep, and I guess the cigarette caught the place on fire.
Wow.
And tragically died in a fire. Mm-hmm. Let's see, America, Horse with No Name. It's a very wonderful song. I believe that was a #1 hit. And Dennis Coffey and the Detroit Band with a song called Taurus, and that was been sampled a lot by hip hop. Any hip hop artist will know who Dennis Coffey is. He's got the slamming horns, the funky beats.
Okay, I feel like I've heard that song, but I can't like play it in my head. Like I can't.
Yeah, it's an instrumental.
Yeah.
There's no lyrics in Taurus. I don't think any songs from Dennis Coffey had any
None.
Words in it. Paul Williams came through. How long have we been going?
34 minutes.
We've been going 34 minutes.
Yeah, we have.
All right. Well, let's go for 45, and we're just gonna keep talking just a little bit more before we wrap it up. We'll just take it to the end of January artists. Let's see. Paul Williams, who we've mentioned. Do you know who he is?
No, I actually don't.
Paul Williams was a singer, songwriter. and he was a kind of a short guy. He had long blonde hair. He was also an actor. He was on the Cannonball Run movies, and I believe the Smokey and the Bandit movies too.
Oh, okay.
And he is now the president of ASCAP.
Really?
Yeah, Paul Williams is.
Wow.
Yes, and he wrote wonderful, wonderful songs, dude. He wrote a song called "We've Only Just Begun" that the
Okay.
Carpenters had a huge hit with.
I think I know that song.
It was originally for a bank, a commercial for a
It
bank.
was for a bank?
Yeah, like
Yeah.
you go to put your money in the bank,
Yeah.
a long-term investment. We've only just begun.
That's
And,
funny.
yeah, it's kind of crazy. Those jingles back then became hits.
They got like actual like big artists to like do those jingles back then.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure, for
I don't
sure.
think I feel like people don't do that anymore. Like you don't see like I guess you see some artists, but
Right.
not like you here.
Right,
Yeah.
right. Ringtone rappers are out nowadays.
Yeah.
Let's see another artist in this January, or we're actually on February, but
Yeah.
Tommy James. Tommy James and the Shondells. They had a big hit with Crimson and Clover, Moni Moni. I Think We're Alone Now. And I know that this girl named Tiffany did a cover of that
Oh.
in the 90s, maybe. That was huge. But Tommy James is someone I've been in contact with through Twitter. And his record label was called Roulette Records.
Oh, that's cool.
And they were run by mafia. They were run by the mob.
With that name, I'm not surprised.
Yeah. And it's kind of weird. He wrote an autobiography about the mobster-run label, but he waited until all the mobsters were dead before he put the book out. Because I'm sure, when you spill the beans on certain things that people will try and come after you, but he made sure that he was safe. He's like, okay, anybody that's going to come after me can't come after me. So, but, I mean, how long can you really keep a secret?
Yeah.
But so that's another book that I've been dying to check out.
Sounds interesting. So like there's a lot of mafia involvement in like the whole, well, not just music, like the whole entertainment industry, like through the 70s, or did it start to wane in the 70s?
Yeah, it probably started to wane in the 70s, I would say. Yeah, I would say so.
Because when you think about like the 60s or 50s.
Well, the 50s for sure.
50s, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, dude, that was just so hardcore. I mean, that's why like Aretha Franklin demanded to be paid up front and get cash.
Aretha Franklin got like, I mean, she was like, I don't know. It's a big story with her, right? I think I'm thinking of her with like also like I think it was the FBI or someone who was like the head. I need to read the book. They were going after her too because she was also like a drug addict, but also like a really popular like black singer. And I'd have to go back because I can't remember, all the names escape me. But the guy who was the head, I think it was the FBI at that time, was extremely racist and also hated drugs. So those like she like, encompassed like the two things he hated.
Right.
So they would like harass her, even up until like when she died.
Yeah, I mean that was very common back then, especially like James Brown, when he formed his own record label called People Records, and then another one called Brownstone Records. He was one of, or if not the first, like black artist that actually had a factory where he manufactured his own records. Like he had, his own machines, his own factory, own workers, own all that. And of course, that upset a lot of the labels. They were like, we don't like that. And somehow or another, things just got pushed around to where, he just had to sign with a major label. He couldn't be able to sustain those small labels. They just put him out of business. They stomped on him, put a stop to it. So yeah, stories like that, they're sad and very discouraging. But man, those were the times back then. I mean, what can we really do about it now? I mean, in so many ways, the same things are happening through streaming services.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, streaming services, like, Yeah,
They take
they pay the
advantage.
artist nothing.
That's right. I mean, they're taking advantage of the artist. I guess it's really no different than what they were doing then, is what they're doing
No,
now.
it's yeah, not very different.
It's pretty sad that the times have changed, but some things haven't.
Yeah, you can be like quote unquote independent and put your music on a streaming service your own, but
Mm-hmm.
you still get paid like 10 cents for every like 100,000
Right.
listens.
Jeez.
It's
Man.
probably a little better than that, but I think for some people it's not.
Yeah, it's just very sad. I mean, back in '72, that there was only one way to listen to the song. It was either on the radio or you went out and bought the single,
Mm-hmm.
and you played the record on your little turntable. And of course, back then the singles were an average of 65 cents to 88 cents. No records, no 45s in 1972 were ever priced over $1. I mean, if they were priced over $1, you had to be shopping at like Saks Fifth Avenue, or if they had a record section there, they may be priced at 99 cents or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
But back then, you never ever paid more than $1 for a record. You know, they were just cheap little pieces of plastic. They weren't meant to
Yeah.
last forever. They were just, really. Somebody had said, it might have been Todd Rundgren, that 45 singles, the 7-inch singles, were basically just your promo card to getting people to come to your show. It's sort of like you hear the little record, you buy the little record, and after you buy the little record, then you want to go to the show, you want to see the concert.
That makes sense.
Uh-huh. So, yeah, that's pretty cool. And it's so neat back in these days how, like I said, any kind of genre was hitting the charts at the time, and you could have all these different types of sounds and everything
Mm-hmm.
for cheap. So, I guess we're going to wrap up this edition of Class of 72. Yeah.
All right.
All right, man. Well, thank you for joining us. And as soon as we have another episode, we'll let you know.
Yeah.